you tired of the daily hustle and bustle, the endless traffic just to get your little one to a good school? GMS Snap Bingo offers a unique blend of academic excellence with a holistic child development in both nursery and primary. We provide a national curriculum with an international touch. Enroll your child today by visiting our campus along Trinity College, Dabigo Road. GMS Snap Bingo, where every child's potential is a reality. Because we care.
Welcome to another episode of Second Take with IDK, where we bring you context behind the scores and our thoughts behind the titles to be won. We are now almost at 700 subscribers. So please, thank you, first of all, for those of you who have subscribed. Please share, like, and comment, and we will be reading some of your comments later on. So with me, as usual, is Ismail Dhakaba. Kigongo, good to see you this new week, this brand new week.
Yeah, good to see you, Mabel. Long weekend, not only Friday and Saturday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I also count Friday as a weekend. There's also the Archbishop Jan and Loam Day.
Yes.
And I know while it's an annual ritual to remember the former Archbishop of the Anglican Church, people always ask the question, would you do what Janan Loom did? Yeah? And how many people could even take the ultimate sacrifice like he did, as the story goes anyway. For others, thankful for the long weekend. That's the one thing I would pick up on. Secondly, we are, by the time you watch this show, Ramadan will be knocking.
Started, yeah.
We'll be right on the corner, and that will be 30 days of repentance. You know, people think Ramadan just about avoiding food and drink, but there's a lot more in Ramadan. It's about repentance, it's about forgiveness, it's about mending faces. Actually, we Muslims believe that your fasting is only valid if you mend fences with people before Ramadan, especially your siblings, your brother, your sister, those we are born with, those that God put in the womb with you. You must have a good relationship with them for your fasting to be valid. For those with the resources and you have a bit of money on you, would be very preferable for you to travel to Mecca for Umrah during this month. So, yeah, there's a lot of blessings around it. The lessons about, I'm not a religious leader myself, a preacher. I'm only religious, yeah, but I'm not able to, I don't think it's my calling to be able to tell people about the Quran, but there's nothing as beautiful as Ramadan. I'm always very excited. The other day I was telling a friend of mine, Abdul Nasser Semogabi, we share a lot of stories with him because we sit in the same workspace. I was telling him that I've been very lucky and blessed that every time Ramadan is coming, if I've been sick, I heal. Yeah, weeks prior to Ramadan. If I'm having challenges, there are so many things that it passes in a very serene manner that I cannot remember the last time I was not able to fast. So when I hear people who say, I feel sick and I can't fast, I have this challenge, I always want them to feel envious about me because I'm able to, and I've never had any challenge as an adult that prevents me from fasting.
I know the Christians also have something similar, a period of reflection, repentance, I guess. It's Lent. I don't know when it's beginning. But I must say, whether you're religious or not, fasting is actually good.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to detoxify. Is that what there?
Yeah.
Detox your body.
Yeah.
You know. And I try to fast when I can. It's definitely not easy. But once the first 2, 3, 4 days pass
by,
you actually, if you can break that barrier, you can actually go through.
And actually, in my faith, you have an opportunity to fast even several other days before Ramadan. Every Monday and Thursday of every week. There's also what they call the 3 white days every month. There are periods when I've been able to fast even much longer. You go, by the end of the month, you fasted at least 8 to 11 days every month. Ramadan then is a cakewalk. Yeah.
Okay, so here today, second take with IDK. We are here at the Lugogo Arena, and there's a bit of history about this place.
Yeah.
It was, I did hear you say, because you are an encyclopedia, that this place was opened by Queen Elizabeth in 54 or 55?
55, yeah. I don't remember the exact year, but should have been the year, if you know and love your history, the year when Owen Falls Dam was opened.
Yeah, that mid-50s.
Yeah, mid-50s is the same year that this place was opened.
Oh, okay.
It was inaugurated as a gift at, what year did Queen Elizabeth take over the throne? Because we know she reigned for over 75 years. But one of the gifts when she took the throne, remember, her father, I think King George, passed on when
suddenly she
was in Nairobi.
Yes.
So when she went back and was consecrated or whatever the word is, or inaugurated when she became the queen, she went around the Commonwealth and gave gifts to these countries, most of which had actually fought alongside the UK in the Second World War. That's when this place was opened. That's when we got Owen Falls Dam, now we call Narubale. And that should be around a little later, that's when we're also given Nachivubo Stadium, because it was also a gift to Ugandans who fought during the war. So this place was opened in the mid-50s and was not renovated for the next 50 plus years until around 2010-11. National Council of Sports by then was under the leadership of Anthony Katamba. He was chairman, and he also worked at MTN. I think was a legal advisor of MTN.
Okay.
They signed a partnership which renovated this arena. The arena looked terrible. There were no seats. We used to sit on the cement, yeah? And then the roof was terrible because it was always coming down. If you went in, that plywood, when it's aged a bit and there's been bats and owls in that area, so they use that as their toilet. So it has patches of yellow and whatever color, red. So that roof was always coming down on us. So after a very long time of complaints and a very bad floor, a wooden floor that had aged, NCS and MTN signed a partnership that repaired this place. So it looks much better.
And it was called MTN Arena.
It was called MTN Arena. Part of the agreement of renovation was to name it MTN Arena for the next 10 years. Now that contract ran out, I think, should have been 2020 or 2021. So it went back to its old name, Lugogo Indoor Stadium or Lugogo Indoor Arena. But these partnerships are common across the world. One of the famous ones that I know was Ellis Park, where they play the rugby in South Africa. For several years, it was called the Coca-Cola Park. And all the stadiums you see on television, Emirates, Etihad, are because of agreements, naming rights and all. And it's one avenue where these arenas, these famous arenas.
Oh, so Emirates is not Emirates?
Yeah, it's Ashburton Grove.
Ashburton. Actually, you know, I keep on remembering. So if they had come, I thought it's because they went to a new place from Highbury. When they at Highbury?
Yeah, they were at Highbury before. So the place is called Ashburton Grove. Then
so
they
it's the
signed
same
an agreement.
stadium?
No, it's a new stadium.
In a different location?
Yeah. No,
Highbury
they moved from Highbury
to...
Actually, Highbury is now a housing estate.
Okay.
Yeah, they ripped it apart and built a housing estate. So they moved. And the place where they are, the stadium is called Ashburton Grove. But they have an agreement with Emirates that gives Fly Emirates, the naming rights to the stadium. So that's why it's called the Emirates Stadium. That's the same with the City of Manchester Stadium, where Man City play their games. It's actually a stadium, I think, built in light, what was that? Was that the Commonwealth Games when it was built? When they moved from Main Road, because they used to play their games at Main Road.
Main Road, yeah.
Now it's called the Etihad because of that agreement.
With Etihad.
With Etihad.
Qatar Airways.
Yeah, and there's going to be many more.
Sorry, it's
like
different from Qatar
Airways. Yeah, so there's going to be many more like that. I know, for example, Madrid have been in negotiations, I think, with Emirates to get a similar agreement. The Camp Nou, I think through Spotify, the music app, also has a similar agreement. So it's one way for stadiums to generate money, the sports facilities. So they get maybe one day we have Hoima City Stadium named Mabel Kebirungi. Yeah, you can pay us $15 million
just to have it,
to have your name on it. Mike Ezra would do that, I think. But there's a grand plan for this place unveiled by the CDF Mohozi Kainerugaba some years ago that this is going to be the place of the Kampala Arena. I remember when he visited the Kigali Arena, which is called the Bank of Kigali Arena now, the BK Arena, and he was fascinated by how good it looked, and he said we'll rebuild this place.
Did you give it a timeline?
At the time, the construction was supposed to start this year, but because government has invested heavily in the AFCON, at least from the reports I've seen, is that the construction will start after the AFCON. After
so
2027.
No guests are coming. You can't bring guests here, can you?
You can.
You take them to hotels, maybe. You can't bring guests here.
If they want to play some basketball on an off day or some other sport, I think they can. This, while it's not as good as many arenas, I think it's good for practice, not for maybe tournaments. But I'm very positive that in the aftermath of the AFCON, construction of this place will start, because I think it's very close to the hearts of the people who make the decisions in this country.
Yeah.
And that helps a lot of the time. And I know Suma, the company that built the BK Arena, that built Hoima City Stadium, that built the arena in Dakar, Senegal, that has done an arena, I think, in Angola, is the one that is going to build, and also built a stadium, I think, in Cameroon. Yeah? The Turkish company is the one that is going to do this place. Okay. So hopefully, it will look as good as it does in the artistic impression. But I also understand we are a very cynical country.
Yeah.
So
you can't blame us.
Yeah, you can't blame us, especially the leaders and administration have been let down in many sectors. So they put out a picture of what the Lugogo Arena will look like. So one guy, don't know, goes and edits the picture, and there is a smoke on one side. So there is a comment. A guy says, hey, I'm happy the smoke from Chadondo remains even with the reconstruction of the Lugogo Arena. So I found that very interesting, but very cynical. Yeah, we found a way that is very cynical in interpreting things. Sometimes those in leadership call us negative.
Yeah.
But partly part of it for me is just being cynical. Some of it is sarcasm. Just go, let's go. And we proved, as a country, I think we proved people wrong.
Yeah.
By building Hoima City Stadium in that period of
Record
time. Record time. 13 months and the stadium is done. Inaugurated by the president on December 24th, 2025. So let's go and also do this in a record time, and it's done, and do the same with the road in my neighborhood and a hospital project. Let's say we are going to build a classroom block in a school in Nachibembe, and we promise to build it in 6 months and deliver it in 4. Then the cynicism that people have will disappear.
Okay, let's move to the English Premier League now. Ismail, Arsenal versus Manchester City. Where do you think the title will be won?
At this point, I think Arsenal, let's start with Arsenal. Where can Arsenal win the title? One is an increase in the number of goals they are scoring. While Wigan Athletic, the team they beat in the FA Cup, may not lie in the same echelons of competition like Arsenal are, that 4-0 result, I think, is a confidence booster for the side. You get players scoring. They are the same players. Some of them are the same players we're going to use in the league. Noni Madueke. The other week we were discussing him, how he hasn't scored many. He hadn't scored in 24, 25 games since joining the club. You have the Berechi Eze setting up goals in that game. You have Gabriel Martinelli, who is one of the most highly criticized Arsenal players, all getting on the score sheet. I think that's the one area, because one of the things they've lacked is goals. That's why their top scorer in the league, Victor Gyökeres, has only 8 goals. So that's one area. 2 has got to be the injuries. The injury count has got to reduce. Every other week, match day to match day, Arsenal are suffering small injuries. Against Wigan, Calafiore limped off in the warm-up. Every other week, Bukayo Saka is missing because of a minor issue, and they are walking in and out of the side. That can disrupt the rhythm quite a bit. So maybe the less injuries will also help the Arsenal, because then you have the same squad to choose from. Because the focus, while I hear a lot of noise, which I call nonsensical, about Arsenal being in 4 competitions, the quadruple talk, I would rather they focus primarily all their energies on trying to win the league, because it's going to be the most important trophy of all the 4 they are in, including a Carabao Cup final, the FA Cup final, which is a bit distant, And then
UEFA,
the
you're not
Champions
giving
League.
them any chance?
Even if they have a chance, every team in the Champions League, if Arsenal say have a chance, Liverpool say they also have a chance. So will Bayern. So will Madrid. They've won 15 titles in that competition. The one that is entirely in their control is the league. So they've got to focus their energies primarily on that. And the league is the toughest competition to win. I would insist any day, the league is the toughest competition to win, not even the Champions League. Now, there's a situation where they have a 4-point lead. I've mentioned 2 areas where they could win the league. The other, they've got to beat Wolves. When you've dropped points in games, and they've also dropped points, for example, in their previous game against Brentford, they have an opportunity to play before Man City.
Yeah.
So they've got to get a result at Wolves and go 7 points clear. Then Man City have to respond again. Because just the other week, Arsenal had an opportunity to go 9 points clear after they beat Sunderland. Then Man City are trailing on Sunday against Liverpool after 74 minutes. Then you're thinking, if you're Arsenal, this is a grand opportunity. Then City get an equalizer and win the game. And they cut what was a 9-point lead to 6. Then they go and beat Fulham and cut that 9-point lead to 6 points. Rather, they cut that from 6 to 3. Then Arsenal respond with that draw against Brentford. So you cannot afford Man City another opportunity for them to cut the gap further since you're playing before they do. We could all say that there's a bit of pressure. Yes, there is pressure at this point of the season. Yes, the margin is just two games of football, and it swings entirely in Man City's favor. So go win your game against Wolves at the Molineux, and then thereafter you have a gap of 7, and then City have to respond on Saturday against Newcastle. I think those are the areas. This week is very critical. I actually dare say, if Arsenal do not win at Wolverhampton Wanderers, I'll comfortably name Man City favourites to win the league.
Yeah, it will go downhill from there.
It might go downhill, because then when one of the things that we should never discredit in sport is the mind game. Actually, some even claim that 85% of sport is played in the mind. If Arsenal start doubting that they can win the league, then it's going to be that on the other side, City will think they are going to steal the title. So you have to get your results, and beating Wolves is the bare minimum of Arsenal reasserting that confidence and even creating doubt in the minds of City that actually the gap is insurmountable.
Okay, let's talk about the top 4 finish, because there's also a bit
I haven't even mentioned mentioned where Arsenal would win the league. Where would City win the league? The improvements they made, I think, in January have been very critical. Maguire as a defender, I think, has improved them greatly, especially at the time when they've been missing Josko Gvardiol and John Stones. Luckily now, Ruben Diaz is back in the side, and then Antoine Semenyo. We've seen how much of the workload is taken off Erling Haaland. Where do they win the league? One, Haaland. While he's scored 21, he's gone off the boil in the recent past, and that penalty against Liverpool was, I think, his first goal in an away game in 3 games, and he scored 1 in the last 9 or something. The numbers are quite scary, or low for a player like Haaland. I think Haaland has to get on the bike again. There's 13 games to go. If Haaland scores 15 goals in those 13, then they are right there in the conversation right till the final day. If he doesn't get the numbers that he's been getting, then they're in a bit of trouble. So for me, starts with Haaland. Then 2 has got to be the fitness of Maguire. Luckily, even at Crystal Palace, he doesn't get injured too often. He's got to work out for every game, because right now he's got to be their best defender. Even if he's just joined the club, he's got to be the first name on the team sheet when Pep Guardiola thinks about how his backline is going to set up. I think those are, for me, the 2 areas. Because the others have been a bit obvious. Donnarumma has to be very good in goal, because these days, for City to win a game 3-1 or even 4-1, Donnarumma has to make 3-4 saves. Yeah. We saw even at Anfield that chance to Alexis McAllister. Yeah. The save that he made, then eventually City go and get their winning goal, the second. So there has to be situations where Donnarumma has to be that important, and I think Haaland and Donnarumma have been the most important players for City this season.
Okay, so back to the top 4. well, I think it's now 3. United, Chelsea, and Liverpool. I know Aston Villa are playing according to your script. They, you know, they've fallen off
in the title race.
Yes, I don't
But
think
they are
they can
looking every bit like a team that will finish in the top 4. Because while I still have my doubts,
They lost to Newcastle.
yeah, they have a 6-point lead still, I think, on United and Chelsea. I could just confirm that in terms of the table, because one of my worries for them is that they are going to slide and even slide out of the top 4. Yeah. But for now, we could ignore them because they have 50 points. United have 45. That is 6 points ahead of them. Chelsea have 44. Liverpool have 42. So Liverpool would need a 4-game swing, yeah, a 3-game swing to claw back that 8-point advantage or the 8-point deficit on Aston Villa. So we can ignore Aston Villa for now. What we've seen over the past week or so is Liverpool winning a game away at Sunderland, and then United and Chelsea dropping points.
Well, yeah.
So,
but
yeah, because United
has come up very fast.
Yeah, they've come up, but they've dropped points. Now, they're unbeaten in 5, but they dropped points at West Ham. And then Chelsea dropped points after going 2-0 up against Leeds United. So, that means that Liverpool, who I have personally written off in terms of a top 4 race, are just 3 points behind United. They are also just 2 points behind Chelsea and have to play Chelsea. However, and I want to admit this on camera, I lost faith in Arne Slot that I can no longer pick the games where Liverpool will win. Yeah? That I have almost zero confidence or no confidence at all in the abilities of Arne Slot, that I can no longer choose that Liverpool will be good in this game. But the players are showing bits of their quality. I thought they were very good in their gritty result against Sunderland. In addition, they were also excellent in the manner in which they took apart Brighton in the FA Cup. Why that's a very different competition when you have Mohamed Salah play the kind of pass he did, yeah, for the opening goal, I think, scored by Dominic Soboslai, and eventually how they managed the game and took Brighton apart. That says a lot about the quality and the character of the players. It says much less so about the coach himself, because then in that situation, the football analogy goes that players win games and managers lose them. So when they are losing, it's the coach. When they are winning, it's the player. So there are things in there that you've seen that Liverpool are going to be competitive right till the very end. And now you have Chelsea with their challenges. I think defensively, I may sound like a scratch CD, because defensively, I think Chelsea are very poor. Then their inability to sign a goalkeeper for a very long time remains, for me, mind-boggling, because they've gone out several seasons now with Robert Sanchez, and for me, it's not helping. So in the end, Liverpool are going to be in the conversation, not entirely because of what they will do, but because the teams they are chasing are not doing enough to put them away. While United have the confidence, and Michael Carrick, a lot has been going for him. He's unbeaten in 5 games, they've won 4, and then do the other at West Ham. It doesn't look like this is the United are playing swashbuckling football that will make the opposition scared, and they are thinking, no, we can't catch these guys, we can't touch them. No, that's not the case. And that implies that the top 4 race will be there right till the end. However, like I've stated, I don't think Arne Slot has it in him. Yeah? That is going to reassert himself and bring the kind of confidence that's going to get Liverpool over United and Chelsea. We might be thinking that, yeah, England has done well in the Champions League and eventually they end up with 5 slots. But at this point, before we get the coefficient at the end of the season and understand whether England will have 4 or 5 slots, you're safer finishing the top 4 before waiting for some kind of charitable act by the 5 teams in Europe that will then get England a 5th Champions League spot.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the playoffs, the UEFA playoffs. Benfica versus Real Madrid. Some news this morning, I believe, about Mbappe. Is it this morning or last night? He was injured.
I saw him on the bench, and there hadn't been news about why he was on the bench. and he sat out the entire game, but they didn't miss him against Real Sociedad. They won 4-1. Eventually, Alvaro Beloa has been good with using the surge, but considering that if that game against Sociedad was won against Barcelona or Atletico Madrid and was decisive in the title race, he would either play or not make the squad. So I'm inclined to thinking that either it's a minor problem
game.
or a mind game that he's actually fit, or he was actually rested for that game against Benfica. Remember, this is the game that lit our minds and hearts in the group stages.
Yeah.
Benfica scoring that late goal, I think in the 11th minute of added time, through their goalkeeper to get into the playoffs and to knock out Olympique Marseille, and also to get Madrid out of the top 8 into the next tier. So
why they are in this quagmire?
Yeah. So do we get a repeat? Would be very difficult. I don't think this is a bit like and you're one who would know these things of love and these things of first date, how you felt. Do you get a first date twice?
I think with a different person. So, so if it's with Benfica again, I'm not sure it will be the same feeling.
You get the same thrill,
I don't think you will. But if it's
you know, these days, the other day I was in the car and twice I changed radio stations and they were playing that Julie Mutesa Sira song. I'm told this day she switched. After she left Uganda, she switched and she's living a totally different life. So there is that song of Omukwano Gunyuma Bwe Guba Gutandika. So now I want to relate that song to this Benfica Madrid game. I don't think it will give us the same thrill. I'll be shocked if it does. Because maybe Benfica will play the same way. We know Jose Mourinho team, they'll set up.
The special one.
Yeah, the special one will set up with a lot of defensive grit and try to hit Real Madrid on the break. Now Madrid, a case of once beaten, twice shy. Okay, this time they even have a return leg because the playoffs have a second leg. Unlike in the group stage where you play each team once. Is that now Madrid come into a game where they know this opponent is actually difficult. So they play on the front foot and force Benfica back and try to win the game in Portugal before the return leg that will come up in Madrid the next week. So I don't know if it brings the same thrill. However, when you look at the other fixtures, I think at this round, it's the game that you want to watch because the other is Galatasaray against Juve.
Newcastle are playing?
Yeah, the other game is Monaco versus PSG. They do not get your juices moving, the same way Mourinho versus Real Madrid would. As a former Madrid manager, as one of the greatest managers we've seen of the past 25, 20 years or something, it doesn't get you moving the same way. But if there's something positive about Alvaro Beloa, I think the players now are back in sync under Alonso, and especially with the fight that he had with Vinicius, which I think was an irrelevant one, and Vinicius maybe should have understood a lot more, and I still believe Alonso will make a great coach. Madrid should not be a judgment. Maybe I'm just a fan of the player, and I've been for quite some time. In regard to Alonso, is that the players seem to be moving in the same direction, but Madrid is a team that only understand when they are winning. And sometimes it's about management of the stars. When you manage the stars well, you're bound to stay long, like Ancelotti or like Vicente Del Bosque. You manage the stars well, you're going to stay. So that's the one area I think Beloa has improved. Alonso tried to put the players on the same pedestal, and clearly some do not belong there. So that caused a bit of friction in the side. But you could also add that they've had a lot less injuries now. There's a time when they could play without a backline, when they are playing Chouameni there. Now I've seen they have Antonio Rudiger fit. They have Dean Huijsen, the one they got from Brighton last season, fit. You have the left back, Antonio Caracas, playing regularly. Trent Alexander-Arnold actually had an assist against Real Sociedad. So there's a lot of things that are working for Beloa. Some of them may be a personal man management, but part of it for me is down to the fact that the players are fitter now. There is more fitter players than Alonso had. So over the two legs, you'd still pick Madrid because they have that return leg at home, and that could be the decider.
Well, we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. But congratulations are in order for the Kampala Queens,
Or
the Crane
yeah,
Queens.
yeah.
They have moved ahead with their qualification, so a job well done.
You're not too
What
far
other
away. You're not too
hurdles?
far away from calling the national team Kampala Queens, because the bulk of the players that
From
are from Kampala Queens over the past few years, and this is not because they are favored, because in Uganda, considering that the team's patron or owner is Moses Magogo, the FIFA president, it's very easy for anyone to pick on them. But they've been signing some of the better players who have been developed at Kawempe and all these other institutions. And eventually, when they're done with school, the only way you can go is Kampala Queens. But the Queen Cranes were playing in their under 20 World Cup qualifiers. The Queen Cranes are the under 20 national women's or girls team. I prefer to call them girls. FIFA call them women. They call the under 20 women's World Cup. I have to call it under 20 girls World Cup. But depends. It's very possible to meet a 19-year-old who sees herself as a woman. I'd rather call them girls. But the qualifier is not done. They moved to the final stage because they've knocked out Zambia. Mary Katono got a goal for them in Zambia. The first leg had ended 1-1 at Kadiba. Then they traveled to Zambia and won the second leg by a goal to nil. So they've won the tie 2-1 on aggregate. And now they move on to the next round. They'll play Ghana in the final round of the qualifier. That is in May. Should they win that, they'll go to the World Cup, which will be played in Poland. And what a story they could write themselves.
I know. It's only one more qualifier.
Yeah, one more
It's
qualifying
not
round. Yeah, no, it's of course home and away.
Home and away.
Yeah,
Okay,
they'll play probably in Kumasi or Accra, and then they'll play here at Kadiba, and then whoever qualifies go to the World Cup. Remember, one of the things that FIFA has done very well over the past few years, we've created them a lot of credit about women's football, but also this age group football that we're playing consistently. Recently, we are the under-17 boys team play at the World Cup in Dubai. And now another under-17 boys team has also qualified for the AFCON, which will be a qualifier for the next under-17 World Cup. And that qualifier at the AFCON will have 10 African teams qualify. Now they're trying to get the under-20 women's team also to the same level. They've been very close before. There's a generation of the Juliet Nalukenges that came very close to qualifying for the World Cup. I think they had one round to play. That World Cup was supposed to happen in India. Then COVID came. COVID struck and everything went haywire, and we didn't have that World Cup played. So this generation is now getting that opportunity that the Hasfa Nasunas did not, that the Sandra Nabwetemes did not. Those are some of the greatest women's players I think that Uganda has produced in the past 15 years or so. So hopefully they go and get a result against Ghana and write their own story, because for some of those players like Agnes Nabukenya, who has been getting the goals for Kawempe in the league, and has also been part of the senior side, and she's still in school at Kawempe Muslim SS. That would be something they can hold on to their lives. And luckily, the women's players here, or the girls in this league, are turning pro at a faster rate than the boys do, because there are times when you are able to summon. When I've seen Cheryl Bottes summon as many as 13, 14 foreign best players for the Crescent Cranes, the senior team, and this is the right trajectory. Eventually, if this team can go and qualify for the World Cup.
Okay, some good news for Ugandan football. And still keeping it here local, finally, a decision was made about
After 4 months.
the verdict about the Kitara-Vipers game. And while Vipers were found guilty, they were not punished. Did you agree with that?
I don't agree with the decision entirely, not even the word they or is in the sentence, because FIFA broke their own rules. However, sometimes, and I don't want even to make a case. For the game
of football.
They say in the spirit of the game, in the spirit of the game, they made the decision that would not hurt either party. Because before the game was played, in what was a contested format, Vipers had written to FIFA informing them they won't play the game. FIFA responded and told them the game will happen and they have to be there. Eventually, they don't show up. So, Vipers eventually lose points by forfeiture, but they are not deducted, because in the rules, they are supposed to be deducted points, as was the case between Proline and Villa, as was the case between Police and KCCA. in the recent past, and these are not decisions taken 40 years ago, because sometimes Ismail comes here and says things, and people are saying we cannot relate because you're talking Maradona. No, these decisions were taken in 2021 and 2019. A large percentage of people watching this show would have attained an age of conscience to remember that these things actually happen. So I think the decision is wrong. But sometimes while I say, and maybe I'm fond of reminding people that the Germans have a saying that football is a mirror of society. In Uganda, we found a way to justify wrong things. That's why I drive out knowing I'm going to meet a traffic officer, and if I don't have my driving permit or I don't have my motor third-party license, I'm willing to give the traffic officer 5,000. I even have change, yeah, to ensure that when I meet this traffic guy, I'm going to pay them. And in many areas,
don't arrest you for that.
Yeah, hopefully not. I used to have a lot of traffic officers who are my friends. We have come to a situation where everyone is trying to bend the rules somewhere. So FIFA, in their wisdom, while they call it wisdom of the spirit of the game, they are bending the rules, which ensures that we cannot. There's hardly a rule in Uganda that works on the straight and narrow. That when you break the law, this is the punishment, and you get punished the same way. Of course, I've seen in cases, maybe in murder cases, because this government has been very strict on many of the capital offenses. Yeah, they've been very strict on those. But in many of the other things, everyone is trying to bend a rule here and there. And in this case, what I read is FIFA bending a rule, knowing that in the end, the two aggrieved parties, which is Kitara and Vipers, none will be complaining. Because the fear is, had they made a decision, and I'm speaking a bit with anticipation, or someone will even call it a dream, one of the parties could have gone to court. And FIFA do not want to go there. So, in order to prevent either party from being aggrieved and seeking remedy or seeking a fight outside of the confines of FIFA judicial bodies, they made a decision that neither party will be complaining about. And there has been a hush of silence. Vipers had become very good at later writing everything. FIFA writes something in the morning, in the afternoon, we are all waiting. Vipers have written and written back. They had become very good at later writing. Now they've not written anything. They've actually gone ahead and played a game, and no one seems to be complaining. So, while for me,
Kitara are also happy, satisfied.
They are satisfied because of that decision, they've moved into second in the league. They've won their subsequent games. No one is coming. Maybe in about 2-3 weeks, only Ismail and the people will be complaining and you're insignificant, because in the end, the football people will have moved on. And luckily, we're a country that moves on. Yeah. So, while the decision for me, it doesn't sit well in. Actually, when one of the first people to share the decision was our colleague Brandon Chimoli. So I look at the document. I read it about 5 times.
Trying to make sense.
To make sense, because then I could not see the punishment. I could not see what had been done. So I tried to interpret. Then I opened my competition rules book, because I have it on my office computer. Then I cannot find what rule exactly, what article, the article that applies to a team for fighting a game had not been applied. Then it doesn't sit well with me. But in the end, maybe what we wanted was a decision done quickly, because I still don't know why we took 4 months.
I know.
Yeah, because we took so long for something that for many of us was very small, and it's clear in the rules. What the decision was taken was wrong.
Okay. So now we'll go over to rugby. Impis beat Heathens. Was that according to your script?
Never. Never, but
it wasn't.
I'd request everyone, as you subscribe and share and all, go to the Impis Twitter handle. Whenever you're bored, there is pure entertainment. Those young boys, first of all, what is that? Is it like the "You'll never walk alone"? What would it be?
Slogan.
The slogan, or the motto, or the anthem. The motto. It would be like a motto. Now for Impis, the motto is arrogance. And they exude it. I don't know of many things that are fittingly named or have a motto as good as Impis. So the other week, and this is only 2 match days that have been played in the league. The other week they beat Warriors by a huge margin. So they went top of the league. So they printed t-shirts of the league table after 1 match day, showing that Impis are top of the league. Now, if you thought that was a bit too much, the following week, they beat one of the aristocrats of the game here, the record league winner, 16-10. And that result keeps not only keeps Impis top of the league, but also ensures that they've thrown a spanner in the works. Because the season starts when everyone is talking Pirates, everyone is talking Cobs and Heathens. And you don't expect the three of them to lose to any of the bottom 8 teams or the bottom 9, because there are 12 teams in the league, except when they play each other. So this result was a real spanner in the works. And for everything that Impis are in terms of arrogance, now it's even more justified.
What are they going to
They
print?
deserve it. They need to print maybe caps and socks and shoes and have a writing that Impis are top of the league in the end. But that was, for me, the biggest result and could be the biggest result of the season. Eventually, there were others. Cobs drew with Victoria University Sharks, 10-10. Pirates escaped against Buffaloes, won their game 23-17. Jinja Hippos beat Kakira in the first Jinja derby. Jinja Hippos were their away side, traveling to Kakira to win that. But in the end, this result between Impis and Heathens will be one we'll discuss for most of the season as a critical result, because it's the difference between Heathens finishing the top 2 and perhaps finishing 4th.
How far do you think Impis can go?
Maybe not very far. I don't think they have enough in terms of depth for them to be competing for the league title. They've not won the league title in 30 years. Yeah, they've not won the league title in 30 years. I saw the other day on Twitter, we discussed Hippos at some point, and someone went and tagged Hippos fans and said, listen to what Ismail is saying in the 38th minute of the show. He's talking about Hippos. So maybe someone is also going to say, listen to this about Impis and remind. But it's a good result. It's heartwarming. Rugby needs this kind of result. A result for Impis against Pirates, Cobs or Heathens is exactly what the doctor ordered for the game here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this weekend, what games do they have?
I think the biggest has got to be Pirates. Pirates will be playing Heathens. That's the one. That's the
Okay.
one that everyone should be looking
And
forward
Impis,
to.
whom will they be playing? I should follow
I
them
need to
on
cross-check.
Twitter.
Yeah, but you go to your Twitter handle,
I'm
you'll
going
be
to
able
follow
to see.
them.
And the arrogance is right there. They should be given more characters by Elon Musk for them to exude that arrogance.
So with all the drama that was happening at the T20 World Cup in Sri Lanka, what happened to Pakistan? Is it a case of too many cooks spoiling the broth? You have the Pakistan government, you have the Pakistan Cricket Board, you have everyone telling them what to do. And what was that?
Eventually, not a contest. India posting 175 for 7 in their 20 overs. Ishan Kishan,
Yes.
the opener, going gaga on the Pakistani bowlers. And in the end, Pakistan barely competitive, losing by 61 runs. But the game itself has not been a contest for a long time. The last time Pakistan beat India was at the 2017 ICC Champions Trophy in the UK. And that day, I remember their opener, Fakhar Zaman, taking apart the Indian bowling attack at the top. But there hasn't been a lot of a contest. And Pakistan, with the lack of resources, with the lack of exposure, some of their players have not had the opportunity to play in the Indian Premier League where the money is. I think they've been squeezed against the wall. And the results are now showing that you sit around, and I did not think Pakistan were going to be competitive. Yeah, I don't think they have enough to beat India. But maybe I was hoping that they give India a challenge, a bit of a challenge. In the end, there was nothing, and the game is forgettable. In every sense of the word, that there is nothing to discuss what Pakistan got right with their bat or with their bowling. It was a case of midday and midnight. Yeah, the light during
contrast.
the contrast in light between midday and midnight. And in the end, it also emphasized how good India are, because they've not lost a T20 World Cup game since the last T20 World Cup in the West Indies and USA in 2024. And they've not lost a game since the final of a 2023 ODI World Cup. That's how good they've been. And they've also gone past a record at the World Cups. I think they've now won 16 in a row. The last record was Australia winning 15 games in a row. So it's about how good India were, and little to do with how Pakistan have been. Because in the recent past, there's been a lot of conversation about, there's a lot of conspiracies. Either Pakistan don't want to play, Pakistan have fixed the game, India bought Pakistan, those kind of stories. But in the end, when you watch the game, it's a lot to do with execution. Some of the shots that Pakistan played, especially at the top, I was seeing one of their batsmen, I think Salman Aga, he played a shot that was not there. And in the end, he got out that
Actually,
early.
he was a surprise. I think I was reading. They didn't expect him to do that.
Yeah, so some of the execution has been very poor and shows how far off Pakistan are when you compare them to India. And in the end, India win their game, moving to Super 8s, where West Indies have also qualified. Now, in a real sense, I remember when I was at the AFCON in Morocco, there's some Ghanaian journalists who arrived after Uganda had gone home. So when we asked them about why they had come when the AFCON had already moved, one of the journalists said that they've only decided to come because the real AFCON is going to start. Yeah, when the Ugandans have gone home and Botswana, because I think Uganda and Botswana were the worst teams at the AFCON. Now, in this case, the real World Cup is going to start. Yeah, when the Italies are gone, the Scotlands are gone. Now it's going to be Australia, New Zealand, England, West Indies, India. Yeah, the countries that you think every game is going to be decided on a ball or on one single wicket or in an over. Now the real World Cup, when the Super 8 starts, the real World Cup is going to start.
Okay. So for our segment, why it should matter, I'm asking about the All-Star, the NBA All-Stars. I read a bit about it and I was like, oh, is there a chance we might see a Ugandan there? But do tell us, why should it matter to us?
There's been Ugandans who have entered the draft. I know Robinson Odochopong, who is now the Silverbacks captain, entered the draft many years ago and wasn't selected. I also know Arthur Kaluma tried to enter the draft, but then withdrew his name later on. Stanley Ochiti before him also entered the draft, as did Adam Seiko. So eventually maybe a Ugandan. The closest we are going to come for someone getting in the NBA in now is going to be Arthur Kaluma, because he's playing for the second side of the LA Lakers. So eventually, if he develops and improves physically, he might get an NBA team. And that's how then you play very well. And now the best players in the NBA going to what is the All-Star. Now, normally the All-Star comes around Valentine's, around February, if you have
some love between East and West Coast.
If you feel love, this around the weekend when it does happen. So it happened over the weekend, but the format has changed.
Yeah.
When I first learned about the All-Star, it was always between the best players in the West and the best players in the East. Eventually, it's changed over time. It became between the best players choosing their mates, which would be LeBron James with the most votes and Kevin Durant. So they choose their starting teams. Now it's changed because they are trying to make it a lot more attractive. Now it's changed to what they call Team World versus USS Stars and USS Stripes.
That's what I was saying. Could a Ugandan end up in Team World?
Maybe, eventually, because Team World composes of the best players outside of the US who don't have US citizenship.
They'll be checked.
And that is Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, Victor Wembanyama, Jamal Murray, Giannis Antetokounmpo, who was injured for this one, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, those kind of players.
Who chooses them? Who chooses Team World?
The selection is about Team World and then Team US, but Team US has two teams. So in changing the format from East and West, and then Durant versus LeBron, or Steph Curry versus whoever, they went with three teams. So US has two teams, USS Stars and USS Stripes, against Team World. So they play in what they call a round robin. And luckily, all of us would have supported Team World against the US. In that round robin, Team World finished bottom. So the top two teams advanced what they call a championship game. And the final was between the USA Stars and the Stripes. Eventually, the Stars won. The Stars had players like Tyrese Maxey, like Cade Cunningham. Tyrese Maxey plays for the Sixers. Cade Cunningham plays for the Pistons. Scotty Barnes of the Raptors. Devin Booker and then Jalen Duren of the Pistons. Then the Team Stripes has Jaylen Brown of the Celtics, Jalen Brunson of the Knicks, Kevin Durant, Brandon Ingram, and LeBron James of the Lakers. But in the end, Team Stars won the game 47-21. It wasn't very competitive, but we'll need some getting used to this. because the format keeps on changing and can get very confusing. But also the other things that come with the All-Star is the three-point shooting contest, the slam dunk contest. The slam dunk contest, the slam dunk contest was very boring, won by a player from Miami Heat. Then the three-point shooting contest was won by Dame Dollar, Damian Lillard. We call him Dame Dollar. Yeah, he won that, one of the great three-point shooters of this generation. But when they Steph Curry, you become second best. So in the end, not the most memorable, but maybe for the younger generation, they'll love it the way it is, and maybe all of us will get in sync and get used to it and start to enjoy it a bit more.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Isma. And that's it for the English version of Second Take with IDK. Like, subscribe, share. We're almost at 700. I think by the time this goes on air, we will have 700 subscribers.
And hopefully by the end of this week, we should have 1,000. We should have 1K. And then we cut cake. At least there's someone on the show who loves cake. Brandon doesn't love cake as much.
I'll have his share. Yeah. I'll have his share.
There are also my viewers, my loyal viewers who are 10 years and below. They think every cake I eat, they should have a share. So hopefully they also celebrate with us.
Yeah, and we would like to hear from you. So do keep the comments coming. We'll see you next time. Take care of yourselves.
Are you tired of the daily hustle and bustle, the endless traffic just to get your little one to a good school? GMS Nabingo offers a unique blend of academic excellence with a holistic child development in both nursery and primary. We provide a national curriculum with an international touch. Enroll your child today by visiting our campus along Trinity College Nabingo Road. GMS Nabingo, where every child's potential is a reality. Because we care.